Hi everyone. So it's time for today's connections game. I know you have seen the thumbnail, so you would know what the words of today are. But I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to show you the 16 words. They need to be put in four categories of four words. Pause this video and give it your best shot. Watch till the end of this video. At the end, I will reveal the four groups of four words. Let's get to today's puzzle. So let's take the first word, act. Act is a very diverse word, right? Like it has so many different meanings. Of course, the one that is in the connections game, it's a comedian's routine. Some, but act, as you know, the reason act is so diverse is because again, like so many other words that we have talked about, it's both a noun and a verb. And it at that there are so many meanings as a verb, and it has so many meanings as a noun. Okay. So to act, the simplest version of it is to do, like you act, act, do something, act. So that's act. Action, right? That comes from act. But also you have act as in pretend to do something, as in actor, right? Like when you're an actor, you pretend to do something, you do stuff. That's also act. That's an actor or actress, right? And then that's why in the movies we have action. But that in the, action in real life is like, what is your action? That means what are you gonna do? But in a movie, action means that, like start making the movie. Action. But also action, it's as you know, action means when the movie has a lot of dynamicism and it's very dynamic, or there's a lot of stuff happening, like, you know, movement and running around, or so wars or any kind of thing, that becomes an action movie, or an action game. So act again has so many different meanings, and those are in the realm of verbs. But also act, it's one of those verbs that can have a lot of prepositions after it, and that changes the meaning. So act out. What does act out mean? Act out is an interesting verb because act out means when somebody is acting not so well. It like, is that person acting out? As in, is that person overacting, or is that person doing something too much? That's act out. Your child is acting out, as in your child is doing too much. He's putting on too much of a performance, as you will. So that act out. So when you act out, don't act out, as in don't overreact. So that's act out. Then we have act on, right? And then act on means that you want me to act on this. That means that you want me to react to this. That's what act on means. And so act on, act out, those are a couple. There's lots more, but for now that's enough for in terms of verb with proposition. Then we have act again as a noun, and act, uh, act as in action. That is my act. Was that your act? Was that you do? Is that an act? So that means, are you pretending? You're like, oh, I love you so much, or like, I love you. That doesn't sound like, that doesn't sound like love. That sounds like, is that an act? As in, was it all an act? When you gave me a job and you said you loved me, was that all an act? Was that really not true? An act. So act, something that you're acting. Act as in something like you're not being honest. Act as in something like you're not being truthful. That's all act, right? So that's the noun of act. But then also plays are consisted of acts: act one, act two, act three. And going back, it's so, as connection says in the game here, comedian's performance is act. So that's one of the meanings: act. This is my act, or what is your act? And so that's the word act. Then we get to the word bit. Bit is also quite interesting because bit also has both the connotations of being both a verb and a noun. So bit, let's take the verb. The verb, it doesn't have that much interesting things about it. Bit is simply bite, right? So the past tense of bite is bit. He bit her, whatever, or the dog bit her, or the mosquito bit me, biting, bit. But so even that, biting, don't chew more than you can't bite, right? That's the expression, as in don't take on something that you can't handle. That's or or bite somebody's head off. Oh my God, my boss just bit my head off. That means that it was really nasty and cruel to me. So bite is like really not that complicated. It's not that a complex word in terms of bit, as in biting, bite off, like that. But then the noun becomes quite interesting because the noun of bit is very vast. Like, it has many different meanings. So, for example, you can add a sort of a complex technical ter level. You can talk about the terminology of it is used in computer science, right? So it's like a 8-bit computer, 64-bit computer. So bit is a bit of information. But that probably is because bit in English means little, a little bit. Are you sick? A little bit. Like, I was sick a little bit. That's why I didn't have these videos for a few days. Bit, right? A little bit. So that bit, a little bit, bitsy, itsy bitsy, right? Bit by bit, little by little, bit by bit, you're learning to master English, bit by bit, right? And then, but bit also, here it means the comedian's bit. That, what the comedian does, it's what's your bit? Do your bit, as a comedian, or do your bit. Like, maybe you want to impress some marketing thing, and it's like, do your bit, as in do your thing, show what you wanted to show, do your bit, right? So bit means, this thing that you're doing, this act that you're doing, your bit. Was he doing his bit again? That means, like, I don't know, maybe your friend was with your brother and your brother was acting weird, and it's like, was he doing his bit again? That's bit, right? His bit. Um, so a little bit, a bit, bit by bit, those are all in terms of the word bit. Then we have things like, uh, this was, yeah, okay. Then there we have the word set, which is so incredibly vast, right? Set. Because set is, again, both a verb and a noun. But as a verb, it's also the same word for different tenses. So, like the word set, right? That means to set something up, like set up, right? Set. Did you set it up? Set it up. Yes, I set it up. That there is the past tense of the word set. So set, which is confusing, right? Like you learn all these other things, but set is, there's no ed, there's nothing. It just stays the same. I have set, so I have set the precedent. I have set the requirement. Set. So set, as primary meaning means to set something up, to create something, to create the foundation, to set it up. Right? Set up is a very common word that you use. Set. Did you set that up? As in, did you make it happen? Right. So set. But but also we have set off. Did that set the alarm off? Which means set it off, right? Get something to start. And that set off the whole argument. Set off, started, initiated, caused, right? So we have set up, set off, and then we have the things like onset, which is like, it's not set something, it's like onset. That's like, the beginning, the onset. And then, and then we have upset, which what that means, like upset, angry. So then it all comes from the word set. And then we have offset. What is the offset? Which is sort of a margin of something, the offset. But then there we have, and it's interesting because we have set up and then to set up, but then there's the verb, there's the noun set up. What's the setup? What's the setup? As in, how did you arrange the whole thing? What's the setup? Or, how is the house laid out? What's the setup? Or what's the table? Like the dishes, what's the setup? So that setup comes from to set up, right? You could do the same thing with set off and set off. But then it's funny because then it becomes upset, which is, the opposite. It's not, so it's kind of funny because set up is very nicely laid out. Upset is somebody who's not very nicely laid out, is angry. Upset or offset or set off. So it's such a powerful word that gets word behind, prefixes and suffixes and affixes, and everywhere there are words that can go anywhere and can be verb and can be noun. So it's a very powerful word. And of course, here is the comedian's performance. What was their set, right? How was the set? And set here means set of things. Like it's the set of utensils that I'm going to have, or it's the set of tools that I'm going to need to draw this painting, or, is the set of principles that you need to believe in if you want to work for this company, or see, these are set of rules that you need to know about the English language if you want to do well in English. Set. So, and or what's the set, or where's the set? Again, you can even use it for the furniture. That's the set there. And or you can have set of drawers. That set is the, that set is a sort of a brief way of saying set of drawers, set, right? So that's the word set. And then there is the word routine. which is the kind of the not as sophisticated or as complex as bit, act, and set. Routine, it's usually just a noun. You don't say there's no verb for routine. So you can say routine. And routine means usually, a pattern. That's what's your routine? What's your pattern of doing it? And here in the comedian's performance, it's gonna be, yes, that's the routine of, how. So this is my daily routine. I get up, take a shower, drink coffee, go to work, and then come back home. That's my routine. What is your daily routine? What is your nightly routine? Routine, the set of things you do in a certain situation, routine. But also it could mean, this is just routine. As in, it's not very complicated. This is just you know, I don't know, you're suddenly some police stops you and is like, why are you stopping me? And they're like, oh, this is just your routine checkout. And we're just gonna check to see your car or something. It's a routine. It's nothing complex or special or important about it. It's routine. And it could also, in some ways be mundane. It could mean boring. So that's the word routine. As I said, it's not that complex. So yes, these are all the four words that can be a comedian's performance. The words are act, could be describing comedian's performance, stand-up comedy, bit, a stand-up comedian does bit, or they have a set, or they have a routine. Anyways, those are our four words for today. As I promised, the group of four groups of four words that I showed in the beginning. The groups are cocoa, coffee, mate, and tea. These are our drinks with caffeine. So drinks with caffeine are cocoa, coffee, mate, and tea. Something which is unexciting and boring is boring, dull, mundane, and vanilla. That's boring, dull, mundane, and vanilla. And martini specifications are dirty, dry, twist, up. Okay, see you tomorrow.